Plant Hunter Guy podcast.
We're back on the Plant Hunter Guy podcast, and I am really excited to have one of my favourite people, Sada, here today. Sada, you may know her through Secret Sussex Supper Club, but also through working with architecture plants on our event side. Sada, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Brilliant. So tell us, I'd love to know a bit more about your career before I knew you really, and what you did all the way through.
Yeah. So I started out working life as a stage manager. I went off to drama school at 19 and studied stage management and technical theatre. And then from there went into the West End as a deputy stage manager. And I think that set the tone for my working life because for anyone that doesn't know what a deputy stage manager does, they run the show, they cue the show, so everything you see happening on stage is directed by one person from the corner of the stage. So you're cueing lighting, you're cueing sound, you're cueing set movements. So it's a very macro and micro job because in a macro sense you're watching everything that's going on, and in micro sense you're observing what's going on stage, any small changes. So for example, I cued a show about Buddy Holly, a musical about Buddy Holly, and each week we would have two different buddies and they worked in totally different ways. So one was very fast and one was 10 minutes slower. So you can imagine you've got the same set of things going on, same lots and lots going on around you, but you're concentrated on what one person is doing because that's affecting everything else. So I think I've always had this ability to have a very good overview of everything at the same time as being very detailed in what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of set that pattern really with everything that I've done.
Just out of interest, when you were doing that, was there anyone that sort of, I suppose, any one person who's maybe a mentor or someone that stood out as being able to, because that's quite a skill set to sort of pick up or learn, or did you learn it from lots of different people that you saw over the years?
Yeah, I think I learnt through training, and then obviously because you're working on different shows all the time, you're working with different teams all the time. Yeah. So you're picking up new skills, as you go all the time. And then I worked up through the kind of ranks of stage management. By the time I got to 30, I was a company stage manager, which means you look after everything. And I kind of got to 30 and went, I've done everything. I've got to where I wanted to get to at quite an early age, and then I didn't know what to do with that because I didn't know what I was meant to do next. So I kind of sidestepped into an office, in a production office. And that was just so different to working as part of a team, creating all the time something new, to then being in an office where you're controlled in a very different environment. So I set about retraining as an aromatherapist.
Wow.
I just wanted to get back out of an office and do something with my hands again. And around the same time moved from London down to Brighton, and every other person is a DJ or an aromatherapist. So I thought, I've really mucked this up now. So I kind of went back into theatre as an agent, as a theatrical agent.
Wow.
So it was my job to kind of scout people, to hire people, to nurture people, to look after people, to do contracts, or, go to see clients in shows and things like that. So again, it was kind of using the skill set that I already had, but applied in a very different way. And around towards the end of that process, I had my daughter, and then inevitably, end up making things, cakes, birthday parties, things like that. And that's how I kind of started doing more and more cooking, and I just became known as the person who would hold big birthday parties for people and dinner parties and things. So I was already doing a large mix of very different work, and then I moved to West Sussex.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like being in a vacuum. It was a bit like, compared to being in Brighton and the Brighton food scene, it was like arriving here and arriving in a desert, really. There was nothing, there was really nowhere to go and not many places to eat. So I decided that I was going to make suppers and hold dinners in the kind of places that I wanted to go to, basically. So I scouted out small places like small chapels or barns and, friends' outbuildings and things like that. And that's when I started my supper club in earnest, because I wanted to invite the kind of people that I wanted to go to dinner with and things like that. So
where was your first supper club then?
It was a friend's chapel.
Wow.
That she runs a yoga barn from, and so the first one was like 18 people, and it was tiny. It's still
quite a lot of people to cook for though. On your first, and so did you? Yeah. Was there like a particular theme on that in terms of the food, or did you just cook stuff you love, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, always seasonal. I've always cooked seasonally. It doesn't make sense to me to cook any other way.
Yeah.
And so it kind of evolved from there. I was always looking for somewhere new and funky to go to, and then I landed at architecture plants.
Well, it's not entirely true. You and Jamie came and asked me to sponsor a hot air balloon, which was a brilliant meeting. I'll never forget it. But it's maybe a cheeky way in. But yeah, it was cool. So I agree. So we've now been working together for quite a few years.
Yeah.
So on the event side, tell us a bit what you do for us here at Architecture Plants.
Yeah, so I'd run a couple of supper clubs here, and I just loved being here. And then COVID happened, and it was all sort of that really weird time. And I had a little side project called Feed the Street, where, because nobody could go away, I would cook for my neighbours, and they go, "Oh, I was meant to be going to Korea," and I go, "Okay, I can do it." So every Saturday night there'd be a different dinner. So after COVID happened, and I was kind of like, "Oh, can I come back and do some more supper clubs here?" I think there was a lull in, you'd started to do weddings, and there was a lull, and you were unsure whether it was right to continue them, but you had some weddings to finish, and I said, "Well, I used to be a stage manager. I can come and do that for you." It's not there's a huge crossover. A wedding and a theatre show is essentially the same thing. Just different cast of characters. So I did that. I came and did some weddings here, and then we just decided to continue. They were good fun.
Yeah,
everyone loved coming here. It was a very unique venue. So I kind of, we sort of dug in and started building the weddings from there, really, didn't we?
For those who don't know, we have events here and also wedding space, but the challenges are, I mean, it's kind of inside, isn't it, through the tunnel, but the weather is still there.
Yeah,
and it's a big site as well.
Yeah. I call it we're an indoor-outdoor venue.
Yeah.
So we run weddings from May to late September. Then we're hitting storm season. So yeah. So
gets a bit colder as well.
Yeah.
No, it's gone really well, hasn't it? I mean, you've really grown that side, and we've now got an extension of licence, so hopefully we'll be doing quite a few more. But it's always going to have that kind of bespoke nature, isn't it? That's important.
Definitely. I think, in the last 2 years, we've really hit our stride with what we can provide for people. We're a very unique venue. We're not, we're not cut and paste with weddings. So the people that find us, I'd like to say couples find us.
Yeah,
the people who find us are very unique, and they want something very unique.
Yeah.
We suit couples who are adventurous, they want something different for their day, and we work with them to create that. So no two weddings look the same ever. We use all of the amazing plants that we have here to create green spaces for them as a backdrop to whatever we want. As you know, last year, every single wedding we had looked completely different.
Yeah, and that's the charm of the space. Now, I mean, I remember, I suppose you say to a lot of the couples, I remember going to weddings and finding that you'd be walking out the day after and there'd be someone else coming through the door.
Yeah.
And that was I just said, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's really important it feels special to every couple that's married.
Yeah. So in fact we only have one wedding per weekend. and we're a 3-day hire. So they come in the day before, have a lovely day with friends and family, setting everything up, making their space how they want it, making sure everything's ready for the following day for them to come in, have an amazing wedding day, and then come back a little bit worse for wear the day after to take it all down again.
Yeah, it's always a bit funny the day after.
Yeah. We had an amazing bride last year, loved her, and she forgot to take her change of clothes with her. So she came back the next day in her wedding dress, still with her wedding hair up, because she forgot to take her kind of change of clothes with her. And I said to her, "Are you all right? Do you want me to get you some spare clothes?" She said, "I'm never going to wear this dress again. I may as well wear it for another day."
Very good. I didn't know that story. That's brilliant. All right, cool. So that's been an amazing journey we've been on together, but you're still doing the Secret Sussex Supper Clubs here as well, aren't you? You tend to try and do a couple here?
Yeah, so I do a couple here, and then we do lots of other events here as well. So we do the courses, so we do a creative maintenance course and a propagation course, which is on the horticultural side. And we're also trying to develop more courses. So I know we've spoken about this before, that you're very much of a view that as well as being a lovely place for people to visit, it would be great if we were also an educational hub, so people could come here and learn things about horticulture, so nothing's in a vacuum, they're not just coming to buy plants, they're also understanding how to care for those plants and how those plants will grow.
Absolutely, and also we do in the shops, we're really keen on local as much as possible, and also that idea of the maker, the creative side, which is obviously, again, comes back to all of your cooking as well, and trying to use seasonal items and locally where possible. So tell us, what's the sort of, I suppose, the idea of Secret Sussex? Have you got any plans for the future for this year? And other than
well, it depends how much.
We can accept.
How much architectural plants is growing the event side? Yeah, I do. So I wear lots of different hats. So my other hat obviously is the supper club, and I like to create a whole experience for people. So here, as well as kind of seasonal and local, we generally have a kind of a view of. I think because we always hold our sub clubs here in the summer, and it's usually midsummer. It's beautiful, and it really lends itself to lots of other cuisines. So last year we did an Italian soiree, and we dressed the span with lots of drapes and lots of candlelight, lots of lampshade, and made it really beautiful. So almost as if you were walking into a theatre set. And then people come very early in the evening, come and have a cocktail, wander about the nursery, then everyone's called into dinner, big long tables, proper village community sharing, and then people leave about 11 o'clock when it's dark and all the lights are twinkling. More of those. I'd love to do an outdoor one over by our lake. We've got beautiful.
Was it a long table the thing that we both sort of realised we both follow? It's like we'll put the link below, but it's a really cool site where they have these huge outdoor events on there with this long table that go. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. So we want to do something like that, don't we? Yeah. By the lake. That's the goal.
Over by the lake. Use more of the site. So more supper clubs, but also one of my other hats is I cook the food for the people that come for the courses. So we always do a big communal lunch together. Yeah. And that's where really a lot of the seasonal and local food comes in. I'm big on flavours, so I like lots of mixes of different foods. And one of my favourite things is when people come in, if we have like an older contingent of people coming and they look at the food and they're like, I only like really plain food. I'm like, try it. And they go away having tried lots of new things.
So you sort of got into food later in your life, it really sounds like, or has it always been there? It's just that as a sort of, I suppose, more of from a business side of work, so it was later on. Or has it always been there?
Yeah, I think it's always been there. So my dad had a wine bar and restaurant when I was a teenager. So my first job was waitressing. Okay. It kind of feels like I've come to it later, but when I look back, it's always been there. So Dad had a wine bar and restaurant, and then about 40 years ago, I went off to a kibbutz, and I was there for 6 months, and I got placed in the kitchens. And I think that's informed a lot of the style of cooking that I really enjoy, because every Friday night there would be a big Shabbat dinner, long tables, lots of plates, platters of food on the table. And so I kind of grew up with this idea of like sitting, having long conversations over a long period of time. And that's what I like.
It's so nice, that, isn't it? It's that idea of just taking your time and just enjoying what you're eating and drinking.
Chatting and eating. And I we eat the same at home. Always, nothing is ever plated. It's always big plates of food on the table, and everyone helps themselves.
You told me off eating in front of the TV, didn't you?
Yes!
Sorry, we won't do it again.
Yes, my goodness. I'm on not a one woman campaign, but I'm on a campaign. We should be eating mindfully. Do not eat in front of the TV. And don't eat scrolling, looking at your phone.
No, I'm in trouble with Sophie because of it. Thank you. But
good.
It has been really important. When my daughter comes to stay, Harper, we're trying to sit at the table with her and all the things that I did when I was growing up. So thank you, because it's been really good in terms of that change of behaviour.
Good.
So that's cool. The one thing that I sort of I love about working with you is the attention to detail. So you mentioned about all the things that you try and achieve. So food's important, drinks important. You mentioned about I think the way it's set up, like a theatre, but the music's also really important, isn't it? So I know you have a bit of a helping hand with that, but how do you choose the music and how do you make that suitable for the audience? It's quite important.
Yeah, I think just being aware of how you feel when you go to other places. So, obviously you will naturally try to eat to the rhythm of music. So it aggravates me. You go somewhere and it's either really loud and you can't talk, or it's really fast and you feel as if they're running you, they're trying to get you out the door quite quickly. And I never wanted people to feel like that. So there's a whole psychology between the pace of music, the type of music. We'll always try and kind of match the music to the theme of whatever supper club we're doing. But I just think having the tone. I mean, as you say, I do have a bit of help because my husband's a sound engineer and he loves putting speakers in strange places and playing soundscapes of birds and things. But we will change. We have kind of 3 different playlists and we'll change it through the night. So we'll match it we'll pace it with the kind of how not the audience, but how the guests are. If it's very loud, there's no point trying to compete with that. We'll kind of try and bring it back down. We'll change the pace as the night goes on,
really
always ending with something, really lovely, sending them out the door.
Okay, we all know that you've got an event happening. Someone might leave the irrigation on, which happened once. And about 10 minutes before all the guests.
Story.
Go on, tell the story.
So I think it was our second supper club here. I think if it was the first one, I might not have come back.
Might have killed me, yeah.
But the second supper club we had here, I think the guests were arriving at like 7:30, so I always say we're front of house ready by 7:15 because people always arrive early. And I was in the kitchen cooking and my friend was out the front setting. We just finished setting up front of house. Menu cards were out, all the table, all the tableware was out, all the napkins and everything. And it'd been raining on and off, I think, so I didn't have to pay much attention. And there was this almighty sound, and I looked up, and the irrigation had come on full pelt. And you've never seen 20 people move so fast in your life, as people dived onto the tables, stripped them. And my friend said to me, "Don't worry, carry on cooking." And I was like, "Oh!" Guy came flying in, was like grabbing things, and I have no idea to this day how it happened. But within 15 minutes, those tables were stripped. The tablecloths had gone through the tumble dryer. Menus had been reprinted, and they literally finished as the first person walked into the span.
Actually, what actually happened, I was actually at home. I went back for like 5 minutes to change my shirt, and I had this horrendous call blaming me. But actually, it was not from you, it was from one of the team. But actually, it was a classic example of like every detail. And so someone had left a second timer on. We don't know why it was even left on, but it was that brilliant. So again, it's that everything has to be checked. So when it was one of those experiences you have to go through, isn't
Definitely,
it?
On
a site like this.
And that's one of the things I love about working with architectural plants. Like every mistake is turned into a positive. So that attention to detail, now we do the weddings and everyone's super on it. I'll be told 5 different times by 2 different people, the irrigation's off, it's on manual, we've done this, we've done that, the constant checking and paying attention to everything. I really value. There's a lot of care.
Yeah, and I think we definitely find as a business that we need to work with people who also care a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work at all when that relationship's not totally even. It's really important, isn't it? Once you lose trust in something like that, it's quite a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Other side, you've got, you're obviously employing people that are not always there, so they're kind of coming in and out of the supper clubs. How do you ensure that you deliver that kind of quality with? I know there's some consistency, but that must be a challenge.
Yeah, in terms of staffing.
Yeah, because it's not every night the way the supper club works.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure that you keep that level of quality?
Yeah, so I have like a core team that I bring back every season.
Yeah.
But I'm also very keen to bring new people in. I think the very nature of hospitality is it tends to be people it's generally the first jobs that people do, isn't it? I think it was the same for you. Your first job was hospitality. So it will tend to be like children of friends that you've watched them since that small, and you're giving them their first job. But I think I was very mindful having my first hospitality jobs and theatre jobs that you are relying on other people to support you and help you and get you through all of those mistakes. So I'm very, very keen on really persisting with young people and helping them learn the ropes and understanding they don't know everything, they're going to make mistakes. Yeah. But it's really important to give them that first chance and that first leg up. And I think that kind of ties in with the apprenticeship scheme and the Streetscape, all the charity stuff that you've done before, that we understand the importance of helping younger people. Because we were helped a lot.
100%, yeah. I mean, my first... I used to work at architecture once years and years ago in the day, in the summer, and so I'd be potting on Bama in the day, and then I'd cycle back to Horsham and then get ready and be a waiter. It was a silver service restaurant, so I worked in between the kitchen and waiting, and it was every detail mattered. And I remember the chap Nick, he was a real, to this day I still remember the lessons he taught me about keeping an eye on people when they need drink topped up, when they need food taken away, or they drop their fork, all those kind of little details. Yeah. But you're right, he caught me when I've made a mistake. That was the bit that was amazing about the time I had with him. And I think there's a lot of similarities with our staff and the way that if something goes wrong or we need to do some washing up and help out, they just get cracking, don't they?
Absolutely.
And that is not everyone is able to do that. There's a type of character that wants to help.
Yeah.
So it's a nice combination, basically. Cool. Okay. You talked a bit about seasonal food. How, if you imagine you don't know the subject at all, how do you even know what's in season? How would you know what seasonal food is? Like where would you recommend? It's quite quick. Where would you go?
We're really disconnected from that, aren't we?
Yeah.
As a nation. So there's huge amounts of information on the internet, isn't there?
Yeah.
But if you think that nature gives us what we need at the time we need it, right? So we're in winter, everything's resting, but root vegetables are in season and they're resting under the ground, right?
Yeah, nice.
And then we are about to come into spring and there'll be green shoots of everything, right? Which is what we need as human beings. We need cleansing food, we need green shoots. Nature will provide it at the exactly the right time. Now, I've noticed a huge difference when I moved from Brighton, East Sussex to West Sussex. Brighton, you can buy every single food that you require, but you are quite disconnected. When I moved to Sussex, suddenly there was free food everywhere, and you know, you're in nature. You can see all those green shoots, and you can eat those green shoots. So yeah, just how would you find out about that? Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because if you buy your food in the supermarket, you can still buy strawberries in January. And
but your point is that you're going to get a much more nutritious, possibly much better quality food through doing it. So I mean, even just going down to your local butchers or going to specialists and asking questions, probably quite. And I like what you said about, like, I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and forage, but you use some Arhippophaea, the sea buckthorn, which is like a really cool plant that my parents had in the garden in East Sussex, and no one seemed to know about it, and now it's like a cool superfood. But they're really cool plants, and you use that, didn't you? And you're playing around with that.
Yeah, I did, because they tend to grow like coastally in the wild, right? Yeah. So I'd never found them in season. Yeah. I've found lots of other things, but I think I spotted them in the nursery, and Alex, the propagation manager, said, "Yeah, there's loads over by the lake," and I hadn't realised. And they were all, you know, massive, huge, plump berries. Yeah. And
different colours on that. I don't remember. They were amazing, weren't they? Yeah.
So I stole a load. And then I made some curd with them, like you would make a lemon curd. I juiced them all and made a curd with them. And then when we had the course, the creative maintenance course the next week, I made a dessert with the sea buckthorn curd, which seemed like a really nice sort of symmetry. Cool. Yeah. That we'd made food with what was in the nursery. So.
Yeah, and I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to. It's trying to make the space and time for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've got that goal, haven't we, in the future, maybe. Cool. And so on that same note, you know, I've been writing a bit of a blog about places that we love going to all around, you know, the country and abroad as well. Whether it's somewhere nice to stay and it's on the website, or a place to eat. If you're coming to visit a nursery, where would you recommend someone goes out for a lunch?
I love the Horse Guards in Tillington. I know you're a fan of the Horse Guards as well. I love the Horse Guards, husband and wife team, and they grow, which is very unusual for places around here. They grow, they have a small holding, and their wife grows lots of vegetables, raises pigs, so a lot of their pork is Sussex bred, and all of the beautiful flowers and everything they put in the pub, they've grown all of those. So I love the Horse Guards. They're doing great things there. And also the Swan in Fittleworth has reopened, and their food is all locally sourced and great.
Wow, okay, so we'll add links on that below. Yeah. Okay, further afield, where are you? Anywhere else? Where would you say, come on, you've got to go and try this?
Brighton, I think, is knocking it out of the park with all kinds of restaurants, but a favourite of mine is Burnt Orange, as you know.
We went together, and the cocktails are insane. Sorry, I mean, the food was great, but the cocktails were amazing.
Great small plates. And in London, Borough Market, there's 2 restaurants. They're both sister restaurants, Omar and Agora. Okay. Both won Michelin stars without trying to, or Omar did actually. Agora is like Athenian street food. If that doesn't make you want to go to Athens, nothing will. Great, and really, really good value for money. Great small plates of dips and skewers and all sorts, and always great music, really buzzy vibe.
Very cool, I'll try those out. Yeah. You've also just been away, haven't you, somewhere which you're very excited about? Copenhagen.
Yeah, went to Copenhagen,
which is like
in November.
Go on then, so if you were, again, you're heading out there, where's the one place you'd head to? Or is that difficult?
Oh yeah, no, that's really difficult. I couldn't do one.
But you definitely recommend to go.
Yeah, definitely. Great seafood. Fisk Baron is fish. It's called Fish Market. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great place. It's a really easy to navigate city, and you will not have a bad meal there. All of the food everywhere for all different price ranges is great. I'd really recommend it.
Brilliant. Cool. When we had this sort of, I would say it was a pleasure afterwards, but we were terrified. We asked you around for dinner. And Sophie and I had a long week, and we just fell apart basically, and there's so much pressure. How is that a kind of common thing when you go around for dinner, or maybe you don't get invited anymore? Because it's quite daunting to cook for someone who cooks so well. But.
Yeah, but anyone that cooks for a living will tell you they're just very, very grateful to be given a plate full of food.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good it is, how bad it is, how mediocre. It was very good. It was a fillet steak. It was very, very good. Don't know what you were worried about.
We went safe. For me, like that whole sort of entertaining thing is really, it's such a lovely thing to do. Isn't it? You talk about that. We sat there for all night, really, for hours talking, didn't we? And it's that making food and drink again, remembering the importance of that. What about drink? Are you into anything local, Sussex? Any recommendations for anyone?
Well, as you know, I love a bit of English sparkling wine, and we're very lucky to have Ambriel just down the road.
Brilliant, yeah.
That's one of my favourites locally.
Yeah, we actually we took that to Chelsea this year, so they're such a nice team, and it literally is 5 minutes drive.
Yeah,
isn't it?
husband and wife team. Yeah. Wendy and Charles just down the road.
Can people visit there, or do they have to make a booking, or?
They do need to make a booking. They can visit, but they're not open. They don't have open days like Night Timber. They're much smaller family concern. Cool. But they'll happily show you around. And Wendy is hilarious. In fact, I was in Italy recently on a food writing course, and I was speaking to one of the ladies who is a wine expert of this region. She's going to give me a little tour around. But I said, which English wine do you really enjoy? And she said, Ambriel, and both at the same time. We said, Wendy. And she said she's such a funny storyteller. Just go and chat to Wendy. She's great.
Because it's often, it's not just about the product sometimes, it's the people behind it, the makers basically going back to that again.
And we're very lucky in this area, we've got so many people doing so many great things, across, like Trenchmore Farm, doing, Wagyu beef
very
up the
cool
road.
beef,
We are really lucky with the producers we've got here. Really,
and the cheeses too.
And the cheeses. Honestly, Sussex cheeses are the best.
What's your favourite Sussex cheese then?
Oh, I think Blue Clouds, Balcombe Dairy is one of my favourite blues. But Mayfield, the Mayfield Walker and Allsop cheese is like a really nutty, creamy. They're a bit like a Gruyere, but but really flavoursome.
We'll try and get all of these links below of all the recommendations. Yeah. Sada, thanks so much for coming in. It's been brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I could chat for
ages. We could. Yeah. Oh, we will. We probably still will. Thanks so much for watching. You can find out on our YouTube channel, Instagram, and also through Spotify. See you next time.
The Plant Hunter Guy Podcast.